Hi, I'm Claire Manning from Thirsty Brush and welcome back to my channel. I'm back again with another card making video for you, and we're going to be talking watercolouring but in your negative space after your stamping. So we're going to be doing some stamp masking and embossing, a couple of other techniques, and today we're going to use this lovely From the Heart set, which was one of my earlier sets that includes some stamps and dies that cut into the flowers and these lovely camellia hand-drawn designs. So you've got large and small camellias and tons of sentiments in that set as well. So before we get stamping on our card, I need to create a mask for one of the flowers. So I'm going to use some low-tack self-adhesive masking sheet. I've done this before. If you haven't got this type of sheet, just use some copy of paper, and if you've got some low-tack adhesive, either tape or tape runners, or even wet, you can get wet stencil glue and things like that will work. But because I've got this nice low-tack sheets, I can't remember where I got this one from, but loads of brands do these masking sheets. So I've stamped on, I use a stays on when I stamp onto these masking sheets, because sometimes certain inks can smudge depending on what the masking sheet is made of, and I can never remember which one goes with which. So if I do a stays on, it's going to stay nice and crisp, and this is going to be a reusable mask then. So I've fussy cut round, or you can use your die. However, it's obviously got a 1mm border. So let's get on with stamping on our card now. So I'm going to heat emboss with our Gold Digger powder. So I'm using the Luminosity embossing ink, and I'm going to have the main flower here that I've done the mask for as well, coming from the bottom left hand corner. What's really nice about these smaller stamps and flowers, though they're still not too small, this is going to be a 5x7 card, but what they do is allow you to make your own bouquets and designs, as opposed to, say, my other stamps where they're wreaths or bouquets that are already done for you. So you can get a little bit more creative and confidence then with you creating your own designs for yourself. So I've stamped that one, and I'm going to heat emboss that now, like I said, with the Gold Digger powder. And this is going to give it a nice shiny gold finish. So just need to heat set that. Just speed up some of the little in-between processes for you that might get a bit boring if I did those at normal speed. So just the heating up, you know that process if you've seen some of my other videos by now. So now we need to mask off that flower so we can make it look like some of the other flowers are going to start to come from behind it. I've said many times, so when you're masking, it's almost like you're working in reverse. You stamp out the image that you want in your foreground first, mask it off, and then start to think about what you need tucking behind. But obviously using that mask is going to stop all those kind of leaves and stems overlapping and actually make it look more realistic, like those flowers are sitting behind. Decided to stamp my sentiment at the same time, so I'm doing all that in gold as well. So I position the stamps. Now take that mask, peel off the backing, keep hold of that, and that will allow it to be reused, and pop the mask over where you've already stamped. The same technique for stamping can be used with your normal inks. You haven't got to do embossing with this. I just decided on this card to do some gold embossing, but do your blacks and your greys or your colours as well. So ink up those other stamps. I always go in twice with my embossing ink as it's clear, especially on white card. It can be difficult to see that you've got everywhere that you wanted. So I go in twice, and of course with my Eureka or any stamping tool that's really easy to do. You're not going to have to line them back up again. So let's just pop the gold powder on those other flowers and the sentiment and heat set that. It's the same process as before, so I just skipped a little bit of that. So it's exactly the same as what you did with the other main flower, you just put the powder on and heat set it. So I lost a little bit of footage here, so I heat set the flowers and then I went in with this turquoisey watercolour paint. You can see here I've put some dark right by the edge of the design, and then I'm dipping my brush in water and then blending it out. So I'm sorry I didn't catch all of this, but all you do is put the darker right by the edge and then blend out. If you've ever done a similar technique with your water paints, your water brush pens before, it's the same kind of idea. You're just using a brush and your pan paints or your tube paints, whatever you've got, but make it darker towards the edge of the flowers, and then just work more and more water on your brush until you blend that out around them. I will show this technique again, maybe on a live or something, so you can see it from start to finish. So just heat set that. I just went back in a couple of areas just to make it a little bit darker. Do that while it's still wet, and then you can heat set those areas and it will blend nicely. I didn't use watercolour card here, I just used 300 GSM cardstock that wasn't too smooth. Now I want to add some splats, but I don't want them to go on that main flower, so I'm going to get that mask back out again. Pop it over the main flower, and then I'm going to go back in and splat around that design. I used a couple of different ways to splat, knocked it on my hand, and then some I did with my finger and some I just splashed it down, so you get a different kind of sizes and things like that. And then just peel off that mask. Made a bit of a mess there on my mat. Peel that mask off, but like I say, if you put that back on the little carrier sheet that comes on with it, then you can reuse that mask again. Just dry off those splats. And then the last part of this card is that I'm going to matte and layer some gold underneath with a very small, just 1mm border, but I want to use one of the dies that comes with it. Of course, you've got the outline for the flowers like I normally do, but you've got this special one that's a separate plate you can use with the outline, or you can use it on its own like I'm going to show you here. And a lot in this collection, we did some gerberas and we did some peonies, and there's something else, I think there was 3 or 4 that we did that have these kind of plate elements, and what they do is they're cut into the card, then into the petals, and you're able to curl the petals up. So just while that's going through the die cutting machine, I'm adding the matte gold card onto my card blank. You could use glitter card for this, anything you like, or pattern paper, but you want something that's going to quite boldly pop through when you curl up the petals and the leaves. So just by hand, now that's cut into the card, into your design, and I'm just curling up those petals, and you're going to get a little peak then of that gold, just to give a different type of dimension and a different look to what you normally get if you kind of just build up die cutting. So it's really quite interesting. It's a really different looking card then, because you've done the watercolouring instead of in your flowers like we do on a lot of our cards, and the negative space around your flowers, and then so it doesn't look too boring with those white areas in the flowers, we've got the splats, and then finally we've got the extra detail and drama with the cut out petals, and then we just curl them up. I curl them with my finger, but I've seen people curl these as well with a quilling tool if you find it a little bit difficult to do them with your finger. And you can bend them as much or as little as you like. So just some more double-sided tape. Obviously I'm avoiding where those petals curl up because I don't want them to stick flat. And if you're posting this card, you might like to use say a box envelope or something so it doesn't squish those back down. You wouldn't need a very deep one, but it's a shame to curl those petals up and then not have them poking out. Just a last little bit of adjustment, and there you can see the lovely dimension it gives and those little hints of the gold, and also it's on the matten layer, so it just ties it all together with the embossing powder, and I think that goes really nice with that tealy colour of the watercolour. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do check out my other videos while you're here if you're interested in card making techniques, and I will see you next time.